General Harris leans forward, his voice low but firm. We've been monitoring extraterrestrial activity near Saturn. Their scout ships have been probing our defenses. This isn't just routine observation anymore. They're testing us. Dr. Mendez swipes through images on his tablet, magnifying blurry footage of sleek, black alien vessels moving in coordinated patterns. Look at this trajectory. They aren't just watching, they're calculating. They want to see how we respond. Admiral Kwon crosses his arms, his expression unreadable. The question is, what do they expect to find? Weakness? Strength? If we reveal too much, we risk escalating tensions. If we show too little, they might think we're an easy target. A younger officer, Lieutenant Parker, sits at the edge of the table, listening intently. This is his first high-level briefing, and he struggles to hide his unease. He clears his throat, hesitating before speaking. Sir, with all due respect, why don't we just show them our true strength? If they know we're capable of wiping them out, wouldn't that make them back off? The room falls silent for a moment. General Harris exhales, his fingers tapping against the table. That's exactly why we count, Lieutenant. Dr. Mendez nods, adjusting his glasses. You see, our enemies aren't just one species, one empire. The moment we expose our full capabilities, we won't just be dealing with the faction near Saturn. Every intelligent race watching us will re-evaluate Earth's position in the galactic order. Some might see us as a potential ally, but most will see us as a threat. Admiral Kwon leans in, his voice cold and sharp. And threats don't get ignored. They get eliminated. Parker shifts uncomfortably in his seat. So we play weak. General Harris shakes his head. Not weak. Just restrained. Think of it like poker. We let them believe we have a decent hand, but not the winning one. If they underestimate us, they hesitate. And in that hesitation, we stay alive. A new holographic projection flickers to life above the table. A simulated battle scenario. It shows Earth's current public defense forces engaging the alien scouts in a predictable fashion. Missiles launch. Fighters scramble. The fight seems evenly matched. But then, with a single swipe of Dr. Mendez's hand, another layer of the simulation is revealed. Hidden orbital weapons, energy-based artillery, and cloaked warships suddenly activate, obliterating the enemy in seconds. Lieutenant Parker's eyes widen. I didn't know we had this kind of firepower. Admiral Kwon smirks. You weren't supposed to. Dr. Mendez locks eyes with Parker. Imagine if this footage leaked. The balance we've carefully maintained would shatter overnight. We aren't just playing a waiting game. We're making sure that when the real fight comes, they have no idea what's about to hit them. A heavy silence falls over the room. The hum of the base's machinery is the only sound for a few long moments. Finally, General Harris stands, signaling the end of the meeting. We stay the course. We let them think they're studying us. But in reality, we're studying them. The officers and scientists nod in agreement. As they begin to file out, Admiral Kwon claps Parker on the shoulder. Welcome to the real war, Lieutenant. The war they'll never see coming. Parker swallows hard and follows them out, the weight of Earth's darkest secret settling on his shoulders.
General Harris moves toward a secure console, placing his palm on a biometric scanner. A small beep sounds, and the system unlocks. The screen shifts, revealing a section marked Operation Titan, Restricted Access in bold red letters. The young officer swallows hard, watching as the general pulls up grainy footage. The images are shaky, clearly filmed from old surveillance drones. They depict a battle unlike anything Parker has ever seen. On screen, Earth's forces engage an unknown alien fleet above the Pacific Ocean. The initial exchange looks brutal, human aircraft struggling against the enemy's superior firepower. Explosions light up the sky as alien vessels slice through squadrons with terrifying efficiency. For a moment, it looks like Earth is losing. But then, something changes. Suddenly, energy beams erupt from hidden orbiter platforms. Unseen warships in the upper atmosphere. What looked like a desperate defense turns into a calculated, overwhelming counterattack. Within seconds, the alien fleet is wiped out. Their ships turn apart as if by an invisible force. The final images show the ocean swallowing the wreckage, leaving no trace of the battle that had just occurred. Parker stares at the screen, his throat dry. I don't understand. If we had this kind of firepower in 1978, why doesn't anyone know about this? Why isn't this in the history books? General Harris exhales, crossing his arms. Because we went too easily. He gestures toward the screen, his voice heavy. Look at that. What do you see? Parker hesitates. I see a victory. A decisive win. Harris nods. Exactly. Too decisive. Those aliens? They weren't the real threat. They were scouts, just the first wave of something much bigger. We crushed them so completely that their reinforcements never came. But that wasn't the end of it. Dr. Mendez's voice crackles through a nearby speaker as he joins the briefing remotely. The moment that beta ended, we picked up signals from deep space. Other factions had been watching, studying us. And they realized something: Earth wasn't weak. We weren't struggling to survive. We were holding back. Parker clenches his fists. So, what happened next? Harris turns off the footage. The screen goes dark. We erased it. A stunned silence fills the room. Dr. Mendez continues, his voice quieter now. Officially, Operation Titan never happened. The few survivors who saw it firsthand were sworn to secrecy. The wreckage? Recovered, dismantled, hidden from history. We let the world believe that the war had been difficult, that we barely survived. And it worked. Parker shakes his head in disbelief. You're telling me that for nearly 50 years, we've been pretending to be weaker than we really are? Why? Harris meets his gaze, his expression grim. Because if we let them see our real power, we'll never stop fighting. The moment we reveal our full strength, every major power in the galaxy will have no choice but to view us as a threat. And the next invasion? It won't be scouts. It'll be an extermination force. Parker looks back at the screen, his mind racing. So, this whole time, every war, every conflict, we've been playing a game? Holding back. Dr. Mendez sighs. Not a game, Lieutenant. A strategy. We fight just hard enough to survive, never hard enough to reveal the truth. Harris steps closer to Parker. His voice is calm but firm. Think about it. The reason Earth is still standing isn't because we're weak. It's because they think we're weak. We let them believe we're barely scraping by, that we're just another primitive world trying to find its place in the universe. And as long as they believe that, they leave us alone. Parker exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. And if they ever figure it out? Harris looks at him, his expression unreadable. Then we stop pretending. The room falls silent. The weight of the truth presses down on Parker, heavier than any classified report he's ever read. He looks at the general, at the dark screen, at the forgotten history buried beneath layers of deception. For the first time, he truly understands. Earth's greatest weapon isn't its technology. It isn't its military.
This secrecy cannot continue, she declares, her voice echoing across the chamber. The people of Earth believe we are vulnerable, that we are on the brink of collapse every time an alien threat emerges. And yet we sit here aware of the truth. A truth that we keep hidden, even from our own citizens. Why? General Harris, seated beside her, remains composed, his fingers interlocked on the table. Because it's the only way to survive, he says, his voice steady. Prime Minister Ito of Japan adjusts his glasses, his gaze skeptical. Survive? Or manipulate? We pour billions into visible defense systems, into public military efforts, while the real power of Earth remains unseen. We let our enemies, even our allies, think we're barely holding the line. How long do you think we can keep up this deception? Admiral Kwan leans forward, his eyes cold. As long as necessary. Murmurs ripple through the room. Some leaders nod in agreement, while others shake their heads, clearly frustrated. Chancellor Muller of the European Federation raises an eyebrow. Let's assume your strategy works, hiding our full strength, letting the galaxy believe we're weak. What happens when they call our bluff? What happens when an enemy decides we are too weak to be left alone and launches a full-scale invasion? General Harris sighs, tapping a command into the table's holographic interface. Instantly, the large central screen shifts, displaying a series of military simulations. Alien fleets clashing against Earth's known defenses. The battles are brutal, with Earth's forces struggling to hold the line. Some scenarios show Earth barely surviving. Others show outright defeat.
This is what the world sees, Harris says. What we let them see. With another tap, the simulation changes. New elements emerge. Hidden fleets, advanced orbital weapons, planetary defense grids no one outside this room has ever seen. The same alien forces now fall with terrifying efficiency, their ships annihilated before they can even breach the atmosphere. The difference is staggering. President Okafor's eyes narrow. And this? Harris leans back. This is the real Earth army. The chamber is silent. Even the most skeptical leaders now stare at the screen, processing the implications. Dr. Mendez, seated at the far end of the table, clears his throat. The reason this works, ladies and gentlemen, is psychology. If the enemy believes we are barely capable of defending ourselves, they act differently. They probe, they hesitate. They underestimate us. That hesitation is the difference between survival and extinction. Prime Minister Ito shakes his head. It's a dangerous game. It's the only game, Admiral Kwan counters. If we reveal our true strength, we force their hand. Right now, we control the board. The moment we show them our real power, we become an immediate target. Chancellor Muller crosses his arms. But for how long? Deception only lasts until someone sees through it. What happens when an enemy does the math and realizes we're stronger than we claim? General Harris smiles faintly. Then they meet the real Earth army. The words send a chill through the room. President Okafor shakes her head slowly, exhaling. So we continue this charade? Let our people think we are weaker than we are? Let the universe think we're fragile. Harris nods. We let them believe what they want to believe. Because as long as they think we're struggling, they'll never see the knife at their throat. A long silence follows. Some leaders exchange uneasy glances, while others nod in understanding. Finally, President Okafor stands. Then let's hope they never push us far enough to see the truth. The meeting adjourns. The world continues its illusion. And Earth's greatest secret remains hidden for now.
Standing on a high observation platform, Dr. Mendez watches as a team of engineers runs final diagnostics on a newly constructed warship. The vessel hums to life, its engines barely making a sound. Behind Mendez, Commander Reyes steps forward, his gaze locked on the fleet below. Dr. Mendez speaks without looking at him. We've let them think we are weak for too long. Reyes smirks, arms crossed over his chest. Let them. He gestures toward the ships. This doesn't look weak to me. Mendez sighs. That's because you're standing inside the lie. He turns to Reyes, his face serious. Out there, in the public eye, Earth is just barely surviving. Every war, every battle, we make sure it looks like we're struggling, that we only win by the skin of our teeth. Meanwhile, this. He motions toward the hangar filled with warships. This is the truth. Reyes steps closer to the railing, looking down at a squadron of black-armored soldiers loading experimental weapons onto one of the ships. So tell me, Doc, if we have all this power, why not use it? Why not wipe out any threat before it reaches us? Mendez shakes his head. Because the moment we do, we expose ourselves. Right now, the rest of the galaxy sees us as insignificant. Primitive. A planet that isn't worth the effort to conquer. If they ever realize what we're actually capable of, he trails off, watching as another ship lifts off the hangar floor, hovering silently before vanishing into the blackness of space. They'll never stop coming. Reyes smirks. So we wait. We play weak. And if the day comes when they push too hard. He turns to Mendez, his eyes sharp. Then what? Mendez doesn't answer right away. Instead, he taps a command into a nearby control panel. The large wall in front of them, which had appeared to be solid metal, suddenly becomes transparent, revealing another chamber beyond the hangar. Reyes steps closer, his smirk fading as he sees what lies beyond the glass. Rows upon rows of weapons of unimaginable power. Orbital cannons capable of obliterating entire fleets. Drones that move faster than the eye can track. Mechs, towering, humanoid war machines, standing in perfect formation, waiting for orders that may never come. And at the center of it all, a single towering warship, larger than anything humanity has ever officially built. A ship designed not for defense, but for annihilation. Reyes lets out a low whistle. Well, damn. Mendez finally speaks. If the day comes when they push too hard, he turns to Reyes, his voice quiet but firm. Then we stop pretending. Reyes watches the silent war machines, the cold instruments of a war that hasn't come, yet. He exhales, rolling his shoulders before giving Mendez a sideways glance. Let's hope they never find out. Mendez nods, his expression unreadable.